Hey, so this is the concept behind this soil plants film that I've been talking about. So, the main thematic question, which kind of birthed this whole thing, is if you are a good person, does the soil that you are buried into grow more vibrant or healthy plants? Versus if you're a bad person, does that toxicify the soil? Does it make it worse? Are there toxic plants? Are there no plants that grow from that soil? The reason I came up with this idea, this thought, this question was I was at the cemetery, specifically the Baron Hirsch Cemetery, which is near DeCary. I think that's what it's called. And I was just looking at the different graves and different people in the graves and wondering who these people were. And one particular moment was there are graves that are reserved for couples, and then there's only one of the couple that's actually buried there. The person never arrived to be buried next to their lover, and where did that person go, or for what reason? And then you're seeing all the different plants that are left there and different plants that are growing out of the soil. So I just thought about this question. So again, a good person might have a vibrant grave versus a bad person who might be just completely nothing. It's barren. I'm not even sure if this is a real plant. You might be able to tell me, but imagine this is an old slave owner or something like that who the plant is literally evil. It's toxic versus, I don't know, someone who is loved by their community, and the plants that grow from their soil are very beautiful and friendly and kind. And then taking this to another level is, how does that affect the sort of soil of the whole world, the whole of land, from just the cemetery grounds to that place, the town, the city, the country, versus the whole world, and then the distribution of the good and evil around the world. The aesthetic and story challenge here is that I want to marry the elements of the real science and in botany and in plants and the soil with spirituality, and then also something about the occult. So I have a few characters, and they represent the different elements in the stories. The science is there's a botanist who maybe recently lost a loved one, who finds herself in a cemetery often, and then stumbles upon this question that I stumbled on. Maybe then starts collecting samples from the soil and tests it and grows plants out of it, and finds that there's some kind of difference to be had. While this botanist character is testing, and maybe it's conjuring this spirit that is maybe the spirit of their loved one, but also maybe an amalgam of the spirits in the soil, which is something that maybe they didn't account for. It's this multi-spirit entity that is growing. Maybe there is actually an overwhelming negative force. By conjuring up the memory of their dead relative, they're also conjuring up this evil force that is demons that have been buried in this town in the ground for centuries. Then there's the occult. There's a cult who fully believes in this aspect of the distribution of the souls in the soil across the world. And so there's maybe in the story an old patriarch who is passing away, and then the cult is deciding where their body is placed in the soil, or maybe even cut up and placed to balance the forces in the soil. There's also a younger member of the cult who is more interested in sharing the knowledge of the plants with others in just general society outside the cult, and conducts these plant tours, similarly to, I know Mark, you mentioned you may have done this, walking tours along alleyways and pointing out different plants that grow there and why and what happens, and taking this idea and marrying it into this story a bit. Maybe they discover along this plant tour, they're seeing different plants that they themselves know should not be there, or there's some sort of balance, a changing balance in the forces. So some of the overarching conclusions or themes here is that, the plants aren't really a result of the soil being a result of the person being good or bad. It's more during the person's life, the impact they left on people around, and those people will continue the legacy of that person. And that is in fact the way the plants are maintained. Why there are good plants at a grave versus no plants at a grave is people cared about that person and their lasting legacy. And then additionally, there's a place in the story to maybe talk a bit about, this is stolen land from another people. There are settlements of people that came and colonized on this land, and what impact is that? Where a whole new group of people are being buried in this soil that were not initially supposed to be there, kind of thing. What the impact of their sediment into the ground is. So some questions that might help me sort of flesh this out, because I have these just blocked plot ideas. How does the soil or placement of the soil, or what is in the soil, change the plant growth, or what does that mean to the plants growing? So I can marry this idea of the spirituality, the good, bad, with really what soil does to plants. So this botanist, what are they testing? What are they looking for? What are they ruling out? Basically, the reality of plant growth. Like, what can we say that can marry these ideas? And then, are there already specific ideas, lore, stories about plants, about plant growth and spirituality that come to mind when we're talking about this story? The impact of people, the spirits of people. So yeah, these are the questions I have at the moment in trying to build out this plot, this story. Let me know what you think, and I appreciate. Thanks.